I got that music loud. Turn it. Hold on here. Woo! Hold on. Woo! Hello. Happy Wednesday.
The NLCS tonight. ALCS tomorrow. Yankee baseball, Mets baseball. It's fired up here in New York. Both teams, big game threes coming up, especially the Mets tonight. Exciting times, Mike. How you feeling?
It's a great time for New York sports. Aside from the Jets, we'll get into that.
Well, Giant fans might feel the same way too.
That's true. We gotta get
say hi to KKFI, Kansas City. How you guys doing out there? And Vin and Mike podcast.com. Check it out. Old shows, old audio, old YouTubes are on there. New stuff, merchandise. A lot of fun things on the website. So, Mike, I hear you go on the website twice a day.
Who'd you hear that from?
I don't know. Just rumors that go around these part of the woods.
Part of the woods? I heard you go around 4 times.
Probably. We had 6 hits today. I wonder how.
It's crazy, man. I looked today because I posted and just episode 114 already. It's crazy how much we've done.
Yeah, a lot of fun stuff. We can announce another thing next Tuesday, episode 115. A good friend of mine, good friend of the show, who's been on multiple times, Antoine Staley from the New York Daily News, Jets beat reporter, is going to join us sometime around after 8 p.m. Eastern. So we'll start the show next week around 8 p.m. Eastern and then have Twan on to come and talk a lot of Jets talk. Hopefully, when he comes on, for Mike's sake, they'll be 3 and 4 and not 2 and 5.
I hope so.
Big game. By the way, yeah, they are a 1.5 point favorite so far at Pittsburgh. So there's some excitement for the Jets going into this week.
Davante Adams is giving them that extra points.
Yeah, it could be. So let me hear how you felt yesterday. So for those that don't know, which I think our audience mainly does, but just in case. Davante Adams from the Las Vegas Raiders was traded to the New York Jets for a 3rd-round pick, which can turn into a 2nd-round pick if certain things happen or whatever. But essentially, for a 3rd-round pick. And Mike, what were some of your thoughts when you heard Adams coming to the Jets?
Yeah, so my reaction was kind of emotional after that game against Buffalo. The way I look at it, Vin, is that I felt if Mike Williams ran a better route and the Jets had a better record, period, this wouldn't have happened. So you got to ask yourself, is this kind of desperation? What were they thinking? Obviously, you get a great wide receiver in Davante Adams. He's going to complement Garrett Wilson really well. But what we're missing is an offensive line, an offensive line that's struggling. We did a terrible job against Buffalo in previous games. So how much value can Davante Adams bring, and what is it going to do to this team? Right now we sit at 2 and 4 with a pretty favorable schedule if you look at it. We could talk about that later. But if you think about it, we have 11 games left, and you really have to go 7 and 4 to be considered even in the wild card for the playoffs, right? So we know the chemistry with these two. They had great chemistry, him and Rodgers, obviously. But you just look at the timing of the move, and you ask yourself, how much value does it really add, right? So when I first saw it, I was kind of like, I was still upset about the Buffalo game. I'm like, yeah, they're doing this to, out of desperation. But hopefully they'll get some kind of spark. These two obviously played so well together, but we'll have to see. Time will tell.
So a couple of questions that I have to present to you. How did you feel also about Rodgers throwing Mike Williams essentially under the bus in a presser?
Yeah, to me, he should be better than that, right? I think whether he thinks whether he thinks that or not, keep it to yourself. Keep the team unity, right? You know, don't play the blame game, right? Because the deal is, you keep doing that, people are just going to look at you differently, right?
Yeah.
So the problem with the Jets, we always talk about this. It's unfortunate because the news of the Jets, it's always drama filled, right? You know, with the recent firing of their coach, now this Davante Adams thing, right? And then Rodgers in the press conference putting down Mike Williams. There's plenty of reasons why they lost the game. You know, that was just one thing that happened, right? Excuse me. You missed the 2 field goal kicks. You went 1 for 4 in the red zone, right? And what do we always say? A team win is a team win, and a team loss is a team loss. And Aaron Rodgers, as the quarterback, is kind of the pilot of this organization. You got to represent yourself in a professional manner. And by throwing him under the bus like that just makes you look – it just reflects poorly on you.
Yeah, to me, it's all about taking ownership of what you did, right? You know, not being able to get the team into the end zone when it was your opportunity. Not making all the best throws and in the best situations and all that stuff, and just not completing, all the passes and making the right calls at the right time. So I'm always about quarterbacks really, putting the weight on their shoulders and moving forward. Remember when Zach Wilson said, do you feel bad? They asked him, do you feel bad, about the defense with your lack of offense? And he basically said no. Right. Remember, he had the one-word answer, and that just that made everybody feel like, this guy's not a leader, right? So
great example.
He knows better. He just knows better.
He knows better. And stop making excuses. You got to start winning games, right? This team, Joe Douglas did an excellent job of getting a great core of guys together. And everything was all set on paper. Yeah, you have some weak spots, right? But this team, Vinny, should be easily 4-2 right now, maybe even 5-1, because most of those games they were in. The Jets have to learn how to win games. And you just have to take the key word, like you said, accountability, right? Stop making excuses. It seems as if Aaron Rodgers, with what happened with Salah, right? Different kind of moves with this organization. He's getting what he wants. Now just produce.
Yeah.
That's it.
Listen, it's going to be very hard to double team Garrett Wilson. I don't think you're going to see double teams on him. And if you do, there's going to be single coverage on Davante Adams. Davante Adams catches everything. As a Raiders fan that I am, and been watching him the last few years, the guy essentially catches 99% of the passes thrown at him. He's got great hands. He runs great routes. I know he's a little older now, but still, he's still to me a top receiver in the league. My only big concern is, and yes, Rodgers and Adams together won games, but they didn't win championships, really, right? I mean, they didn't win in the biggest moments. So bringing him in, is that going to propel you to win in these biggest moments? Maybe bring him in and having a Garrett Wilson, a real strong 1A kind of receiver, because I can't consider Garrett Wilson a 2. So, to me, he's a 1A. Does that take a lot of pressure off of Rodgers now? Does it open things up more for Breece Hall? Are we going to see, Breece Hall run outside the tackle box? I think I like that they were trying that the last game. Was something we talked about, right? Stop throwing him in between tackles, get him outside, let him use his speed and his vision, things to his strength. So I thought the offensive play calling was a lot better. The defense needs to improve a little bit after last week. But again, it's Josh Allen. It's a guy that is superstar, Pro Bowl, All Pro, quarterback. They made a big trade too, right? Getting Cooper, which also makes me think they were in on the Adams situation, because as soon as Adams got traded, they ended up getting Cooper.
That was a great trade. That was a great trade for them.
Yeah, of course. They need a real number one receiver.
I have him on my fantasy team. My
That'll help you.
fantasy team that got destroyed this week. Destroyed. Embarrassing.
Well, at least now you're improved your fantasy team just by getting him traded.
Exactly. He'll definitely get more throws.
All the Jerry Jeudy fans out there are excited too because now he's the number one receiver in Cleveland. So it's a whole trickle down effect going on in fantasy. But in all seriousness, I think they continue to need to get the ball to Breece Hall even more than they did this past Monday. Continue to expand what they're doing on offensive plays. I don't know what they do to improve the offensive line at this point. It's hard to make. That's like the one position, right? If you trade for someone, it's not like you plug them in and all of a sudden you get better on the offensive line. It takes an offensive line a little time to gel. So maybe the hope is as the season goes along, the offensive line starts gelling, getting better, different coordinator, a whole different way of doing things. Maybe, you'll start seeing some improvement.
With that said, having a Davante Adams and with an offensive line not giving you that much time to throw, it's going to give you another weapon to throw it to quickly, right?
Yeah.
So that should be very helpful for him. So
and a guy that knows where he likes to throw the ball, and vice versa, a guy where he knows he can throw the ball in a certain spot and he's going to look for it there. So it's that comfort factor as well. So I think it's just important things. I know you mentioned, I don't know if you have it up, but I know you mentioned
schedule. Yeah, let's take a look at it. Yeah,
you mentioned the schedule.
So
go ahead. Read. I know they have. I think it's 5 games before they hit the bye week.
So we have the Steelers on Sunday night, another primetime game for the Jets
at Pittsburgh, right?
At Pittsburgh. Then we're in New England.
Okay.
Then we have the Texans at home, and that's on Halloween. Then we have the Cardinals in Arizona, and then we have the Colts at home, and then we have the Seahawks. When is our bye week, though? It is.
I think it's in between the Colts and the Seahawks, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. All right. So you have 3 road games and
2 home games.
2 home games. The home games are home Texans.
Home against the Texans. Home against the Colts. Yeah.
So I'll be honest. If you win this week, you could essentially look like you could go 5-0.
See, I only laugh at you, and it's not laughing at you actually. Yeah. It's right. Laughing at the situation.
Yeah.
And I love the optimism.
No, I'm just saying. If
you I'm saying no. Listen, I do. I love the optimism, and I want to feel that way too. Against these teams, they should win with this team, but this is the Jets, right? So it's what we haven't done year after year. And I kind of equate it to, I'll go to a different sport for a second. I'll go to the Knicks for a second, where the biggest problem for the Knicks over the years is that we could never beat teams under 500. And it was always, they would get off a performance and then lose to a team that was under 500. And it was frustrating. And the Knicks really did an amazing job of that last year. I think they lost 1 game to under 500 teams. So
yeah,
and you're right. With that schedule, it's extremely favorable for them. If they could go into the bye week just losing one of those games, be happy. They'll be right there.
6-5. They'll be 6-5. I'm telling you, if they can win at Pittsburgh, you're going to feel a lot better about this team quickly.
Yeah. Listen,
if they
lucky enough, we are still so early in the season. And I know we said the Buffalo game was important, but it shows that they had so many opportunities to win. It's not like
Yeah.
they can't compete, right? If things
Yeah.
went a couple different ways, they could have. But now you have this. Now you have Davante Adams. You have another weapon. Aaron Rodgers was really happy about this, and let's actually compliment the Jets on some things. Aaron Rodgers played a lot better. Brees Hall was actually utilized last game. He had a good game, right?
Yeah.
This team is still, they're still getting used to each other, right? They are, and Davante's going to come in, and right. So there were some highlights. Aaron Rodgers was connecting. I thought he played a good game overall, better. But just love seeing Brees Hall doing what he did last year because we weren't seeing that at all this year.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Hey, another primetime game to watch, the Jets on Sunday night.
They got a lot of them this year, right? I think they had the most out of anybody.
Too many.
Too many late nights on, as they say, on a school night, right?
Yeah, sure.
Everybody's got to wake up 5 o'clock the next morning, and it's 11:30 at night, and you're watching the dunk. Right? The dunk. That's all you're hearing.
You know what the worst is, and they have to change it. The NCAA men's basketball championship. They always have it on Monday night at like 9 o'clock. They got to change that. And someone said to me, if they can have the Super Bowl at 6 p.m., right?
Yeah.
Have these games earlier. Look what I have to say. I'm impressed with baseball, right? They're having some of these games at like 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock. That's great.
Yeah, the ratings, big ratings for baseball too. I heard 10 million viewers for Mets Dodgers or something. Game 1. So, and let me tell you, every commercial that I see is Judge and Ohtani. So they are praying. As much as we're praying the other way of seeing Mets Yankees, Major League Baseball is praying for Dodgers Yankees. They really are. They want to get the two biggest stars, getting them going, and showcasing them. But it was good to see Judge finally hit a home run.
Oh yeah, that was great. And then John Sterling's call, which I say.
That was awesome. If people want to, listen to something hysterical, watch Anthony Rizzo's getting picked off at second, and John Sterling basically calling the play-by-play on it. He's a funny, amazing broadcaster, as we said, legendary guy. So, but tonight out in Citi Field in Queens, Mike. Luis Severino.
Yes.
Get ready to go in about 2 hours here against Walker Buehler. A huge game 3. I think probably one of the biggest games for the Mets in 10 years, right? 9 years, whenever they were in the World Series playing the Royals. Guess who's throwing out the first pitch tonight? I'll give you a hint. It's 2 people. And they were on the 86 championship team.
I hope it's Dwight and Darryl.
That's who it is.
All right.
They're throwing out the first pitch. What they did is they've gotten 2 guys from each of the last 3 World Series teams. So they have the 2000 team. They got Ventura and Edgardo Alfonso. And are you ready to laugh who they got from the 2015 team?
Oh,
ready? Matt Harvey. And Jonas Cespedes.
Oh, wow. Cespedes for the rest of us.
2 guys that they threw out of the clubhouse, and now we're about the first pitch. But going back, I think, Luis Severino, who they gave a 1-year deal to, he took a chance taking that 1-year deal to prove himself. Pitching a huge game tonight against this Dodger team. It's going to be a little chilly out in Citi Field tonight, but I expect big things from Severino tonight. I expect them to really anchor this team and put them in position to win. I'm not all about, I'm not saying the guy's got to go out there, give 7 innings of 1-run ball and all this stuff. My thing is put them in position to win, right? Give your best effort. don't give up 5 runs in 3 innings. Go out there and do what you're supposed to do. Get to that bulk of the bullpen, right? You want to at least get to that 6th inning. And if you're giving up a few runs and done what you're supposed to do, it doesn't matter if you're losing 2-0 at that point. You did what you're supposed to do. That's the expectation. And then, this Met team likes to clobber 5-6 runs, like out of nowhere in like these single innings. They're amazing at doing that. Like they'll just score 5 runs in an inning. They've done it all playoffs, right? Like every series, it seems like it almost feels like almost every game they win, they score like 5 or 6 runs in like these innings. Last game they scored 5 in the second, right? So let's have them put that together, and a 2-1 lead, going into tomorrow is going to feel really good for the Mets. So
it's huge. And again, just a testament to this Mets team. I mean, it's a team that lost 9-0 in the opener, 9-0, right? But it just shows their endurance and their heart. Less than 24 hours later, they go in and split, in LA, which is a huge win. But you're right. This is going to set the momentum for the rest of the series, this game.
Yeah.
So
I feel it. I tell you, remember when I talked about how I felt in 2000 when the Yankees lost Game 3, and it just felt like the momentum was going the wrong way, and Derek Jeter led off the game with the home run, and then everything was right after. I felt that's what Francisco Lindor did in Game 2. Of course, a much smaller scale, a little earlier, but it was a Dodger team that didn't give up a run in like 30-something innings, right? They had 3 consecutive shutouts in the playoffs, and Lindor comes up and leads off the game, home run, 1-0. It's like, all right, we're ready to win this game. We're ready, we're back in this series kind of feel. And then they scored 5 in the second. The game was over. The pitching, held in there. Once Diaz realizes to throw strikes in the 9th inning, he's basically unhittable, and they go on and win. So get to the bullpen tonight. Give that ball to Diaz with a 2-run lead, and let him throw 100-mile-an-hour fastballs that nobody can hit.
You know what else is a crazy? Severino, I read something like, I think he walked only 2 or 3 hitters in the last 12 innings. In his last 2 playoff starts. Pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, as long as he comes out there and keeps control, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
So, and then across town, as we always say, Yankees up 2-0 going into Cleveland. Cleveland is the best home team in baseball. Let's not put that aside. But it just feels like finally the Yankees are just a better team out there, right? Like, they're playing like they're the better team. Different guys are contributing. It was great to see Judge have 3 RBI last night, the sac fly, then the late 2-run homer. Especially it was a high, fastball up at the letters. He just shows how he can just drive like anything incredible. Yes, bad base running last night with Jazz and Rizzo and all that. Probably could have scored a lot more runs. But again, Clay Holmes coming in the 5th inning there, doing a good job. Tim Hill, out of all people, was fantastic. Canley's still doing a pretty good job. And then Luke Weaver, who's just turned into one of the best closers in baseball out of nowhere, right? Like him and Diaz all of a sudden, figured it out together in the playoffs. And, that's the thing that excites you, I think, as Mets and Yankees fans, is seeing, how the bullpens are keeping things together. Because if bullpens are going to pitch like this in playoffs, you're going to win a lot of these games. It's just going to happen because you're going to rely on your bullpens all throughout, right? Every manager has a short leash. You don't pitch. You don't do well in one inning, you're out of there, right? You usually don't see a guy give up 2 runs and then stay in there. They're usually gone. So
you made a very good point, and I'm finding with this Yankee series, despite some poor base running, they haven't struggled at all against this, Guardians team. Whereas the Mets series against the Dodgers, that's kind of like back and forth, right? They're kind of like evenly matched, right? And it could be any game, but the Yankees just seem to dominate, right? They know how to handle. They're not struggling at all. The bullpen has been outstanding, right?
yeah.
And now, what do we say? That Judge had to come through if he did that, right? If he continues, they should.
Yeah.
The Yankees should either sweep or take this in 5 games. I just don't see it going longer than that.
Yeah, I mean, Soto's been great. He's been hitting, get on base. Gleyber Torres has been hitting. Really, the middle of the lineup, like Wells and Jazz, they're struggling a little bit. But even Rizzo had that big double last night. It's good to see him back in the lineup. We know he's just a professional hitter, as I always say, a guy with tremendous experience, right, with the Cubs, and probably one of the biggest World Series ever when the Cubs finally won, beating Cleveland out of all teams. That was just like one of the most incredible World Series ever to watch. I remember that, like Aroldis Chapman blowing games and then coming back and winning games. It was, and Rizzo was part of that, and it's good to have him back in the lineup. Like I said, he's just a true professional. You could just see his calm demeanor, the way he plays first base, like all those little things. I'll tell you, Jazz, who's essentially a center fielder, has been a really good third baseman, like making a lot of plays on grounders. We know he's got a big arm because he's got an outfielder kind of arm. But, the plays he's been making at third, I know his hitting's been lacking, but I've been really impressed at his play at third. So hopefully that keeps up. We keep moving forward. I like the way the lineup is. I think Verdugo's been doing a lot better. Just as a whole, I like what they are 1 through 9 right now.
Yeah, they're very strong. Even like that 7th, 8th, and 9th. They were Volpe, Rizzo, and Verdugo. They were producing.
Yeah.
It's been strong.
Yeah, we need Volpe to continue doing what he's doing too. We'll see. I thought, from an American League standpoint, I really felt the teams that were going to give the Yankees the hardest time were gone right away. Houston and Baltimore. I felt the American League Central, which consists of the Royals, the Guardians and the Tigers, I just felt all those 3 teams weren't at the Yankees level. We still got to win 2 more games, but it just feels like we're just waiting for, Mets Dodgers. That's what I'm going to hope for. I'm hoping we're up 3-0 tomorrow. Sail right in. I heard if both series could end on Saturday, they will start the World Series on Tuesday.
Wow.
But if not, then it goes to Friday the 25th.
That's more realistic.
So, but if both series can end by Saturday, meaning both teams who win in 5, they could start they would start the World Series on Tuesday. Sure. I don't see the Mets Dodgers series going 5. I see it going potentially 7. I did originally predict Mets in 6, but I wouldn't, like you said, I think you said Mets in 7, so I wouldn't be shocked at that. So, it's good. Did you watch any Knicks games? I think there was a game last night or anything. Have you watched any other preseason Knicks?
Yeah, I watched some preseason. I've been watching a couple games. They look good. It's fun watching Karl Anthony Towns play with them. The last game against the Hornets, they played all their bench players, but it was good to see Tyler. What's his name? Tyler Court. Hold on. I'll get it.
The rookie.
Yeah. Hold on. He was good. Hold on. Wait, look at the. They had. Hold on. Yes. Tyler Kolek. Yeah. So he looks good, and then Dadier looks really good.
I saw Precious put up some numbers the other night too.
Numbers, yeah. And this Dadier, from France, he's only 19 years old, so he's playing small forward. Look out for him. They're just really exciting. They have so much depth this year, Vinny.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. They got Payne's on the team too, right? Campaign.
Yep.
Yeah. He's
You got Payne. Don't forget, you got McBride and Payne. Precious did very well last game. So yeah, they played all their bench players, and it was just fun. It was fun to see. So
yeah, I can't wait to see Towns 35 minutes with Brunson with 35 minutes and see what kind of outputs we get from them.
they played the Celtics first game, opening nights in Boston. So they're going to raise the banner, and the Knicks are in Boston next Tuesday.
Let's get 4 guys ejected on each side of the court. You know,
it was interesting though.
Ball to start the season.
Since we last spoke, so the Timberwolves were in town the game before.
Yeah.
And, just the old Dante thing, and he's mouthing off. And then Rick Brunson had to be held back, and I don't know what he was saying. But, hey, there's a lot of emotion. But as we always talk about, you got to keep your professionalism, right? So,
yeah. I don't know if Dante was – it was kind of weird because he was talking to Derek Brunson walking off the court, and Derek stepped to like the right. The next thing you know, like Rick is coming at him, and it's like this whole big like brawl. I don't know what Dante said. I don't know if he said something to Derek and just messing around, or who knows. Those guys know each other a very long time, so who knows what was going on.
And I think he said something to Tibbs while he was at the foul line, like, thanks a lot, Tibbs, for the trade. And obviously Brunson and Tibbs are very close, Rick Brunson. So I think because he said something to him and disrespected him in a way, that maybe that's why. But who knows? Bottom line is it was all petty crap. And
yeah. Did Rick Brunson play on the Knicks team when Tibbs was an assistant?
I'm not sure about.
Because wasn't was he an assistant under Van Gundy at one time?
I believe so, yes. Yeah.
Maybe he knows him that long.
An interesting thing about Rick Brunson was he played for so many different teams.
Oh, I know.
So he played for the Knicks in 2000, 2001. And then he played also in 99, 2000. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
a long time.
Yeah.
He essentially played for the Knicks when Derek was like 2 years old.
And he played like towards Patrick Ewing's end of his career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good old Patrick, who's back and as an ambassador for the Knicks now.
That's really exciting.
Get that around the garden. Maybe the security team will know who he is.
Maybe him and Dolan will hug it out.
Maybe he won't get stopped when he wants to walk into the garden.
It doesn't look like Patrick Ewing. Come on.
He's not on the VIP list. We don't know who this guy is.
Who is this? He only played here 15 years and was our super.
Who's a 7-foot guy?
Who is this man?
Who's a 7-foot guy just walking around back here in this $4,000 suit?
What else? For our viewers, over the years, we go back to old episodes, and we talk, sometimes we listen to our picks. But Vinny had some great ones last week.
0-3. Hopefully, nobody listened to me last week.
But we all, even me,
just for me to feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
It was the first time in 75 games that the Bengals didn't let up 10 or more points.
Yeah, it's tough.
Well, my thought process was correct.
Overall, though, I have to say, we're still over 500 for the year.
Oh?
These are not easy games to pick. I mean, I look at that Dallas game, and Dallas at home getting blown out like that. Come on.
It was the worst loss at home in the Jerry Jones era.
It
was Jerry Jones' birthday.
And he's losing it with the media, and he doesn't want to hear it. He doesn't want to hear it.
Listen, to be fair, this is a team that has not been in an NFC championship game since 1996.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. Ready? Hypothetically, and this may sound crazy. Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if this is going to be his last year, but let's say it is, right? Let's say the Jets continue. I hope they, obviously, I hope they, continue. I hope they go upward, but let's say they don't, right? And he's just had enough. You think the Jets would pick up Dak Prescott in the offseason? Do you think that's a possibility?
Well, Dallas extended him to a massive contract.
So I didn't even know that was.
Yeah. So he's got more money than anyone, so he's not going anywhere.
I'm surprised they did that.
Yeah.
Considering like he hasn't done much in the playoffs, that's surprising to me.
Well, that's the problem, right? Here's the problem with Dallas. They underachieved last year, and they brought back the two most important pieces of any NFL team is the head coach and the quarterback, right? That's really essentially the two most important pieces. If you have a quarterback and you have a head coach, you're going to win games in the NFL. So they completely failed. Their defensive coordinator is now in Washington. So they brought in Mike Zimmer, who they know for a long time, good defensive guy, good mindset, blah, blah, blah. But, was Mike McCarthy the right guy to bring back and lead the team? And if you feel that's true, is Dak Prescott the guy that should be the quarterback? I essentially felt you had to stick with one or the other. I felt you couldn't bring both back. It's not going to help. And then the thing I think I've noticed over these first 5 weeks of the season, I think their defense is a little overrated. It's not as good as I thought it should be. Especially on deep passes. I mean, they give up a lot of big home run hits. So I don't know, what they do to take care of that. I don't know if it's personnel. I don't know if it's scheme. I don't know if it's both.
Yeah.
But they have not shown a lot on defense. Dak has not shown a lot on offense. They have no running game. Rico Dowdy, not great. Zeke is a shell of what he used to be. They have no number 2 receiver, right? They're going, Cooks is hurt now. CeeDee Lamb is on an island by himself. Jesse Ferguson, the tight end, he's good, but he's not Travis Kelce or Sam Laporta. He's not, he doesn't look like he's a guy that's going to catch 10 balls a game, and do all this stuff. I just think they're lacking a lot. And they didn't fill in a lot of the holes. And they went out and gave Dak $300 million. I forget what the deal is, right? But they gave him, the highest contract you could possibly give a guy. So they're building the team around Dak, but who are you building them around? You got all this money invested in Dak and CeeDee Lamb. I mean, you're essentially, you're still going to pay Micah Parsons. There's a lot of guys that still need to get paid. And then where do you fill in the blanks? I don't know. To me, Dallas took a big step back when I saw the way they played this week against Detroit. And the reason I say that is because Detroit is, to your credit, a legit Super Bowl team, right? This is the team that you projected to go to Super Bowl. They're a legit Super Bowl team. And when you lose to a team like that at home like that, it puts there's a lot of question marks.
It's funny, yeah. I on the other side of it, on the team that I think is just going to be tough on the AFC is the Ravens. What I saw, now obviously they have to improve on the defense. If you take Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry is just unbelievable. This team is so good. They have so many weapons. It's scary. So I could see that as a legitimate – I had Detroit, but, man, I think the Ravens are the team to beat right now. And although KC's undefeated, I think Baltimore's – they're getting – I think they have a lot of momentum right now. They're playing very well.
Well, that's the other thing, right? So we talk about playoffs and big moments and all that stuff. If Baltimore gets there, and let's just say they're home Kansas City again, Lamar has to play at a different level. He cannot play in these games the way he's played the last few years. Now, Derrick Henry helps a lot. He's a Hall of Fame running back, one of the best guys to ever play the position. It's hard to think that you have a first ballot running back Hall of Famer in today's game besides maybe McCaffrey, but McCaffrey's always hurt. But Derrick Henry is that guy. He has the potential of being, I think, the first guy in NFL history to have two separate 2,000-yard seasons. I don't think we've ever had anyone do two. I know Barry Sanders did one. I know Jamal Lewis, of course, OJ back in the day. You could look at the list of guys, but he legitimately has a shot of two separate seasons of 2,000 yards rushing, especially with the extra game now on it. The way they run offense, because Lamar can, sneak out of the backfield, you can't really overload right on Derrick Henry, because if you do, Lamar will just take it and run outside and run himself for 50 yards. So they can't stack the box like they would. Especially Lamar can make some throws, everything that comes along with it. But again, my biggest fear is those big moments, and hasn't done it yet. We know what Mahomes does in big moments. I think Josh Allen has gotten a little bit better at it. But to your point, they look like they're legitimately the best team in the AFC.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Kansas City's 5-0. They've won 2 straight Super Bowls. Every time we talk about other teams, they go on and win, and then Pat Mahomes ends up being, the elite of the elite. I mean, he's essentially one Super Bowl away of being, right behind Brady. You could still argue it a little bit with Joe Montana and some of the other guys if you want, or Peyton Manning. But he wins a 3rd straight Super Bowl. First guy to ever do it, win 4 Super Bowls. All of a sudden, he's becomes in the Brady conversation.
We shall see.
By the way,
yes,
I can only hope in the next 10 years that Tom Brady becomes the majority owner of the Raiders. Because I know him as an owner is going to be obsessed with getting us
winning. Yeah. He's going to be like the Steinbrenner of baseball.
I can only hope. We need Al Davis and George Steinbrenner back.
That's what he's going to be like.
Fire everybody. Bring in the guys we need. Let's go. I tell you, after week 1, where he was a little shaky with his announcing, I think he's gotten 1,000 times better.
Yeah, people were so tough on him. It was his first game. Like, give me a...
it's Tom Brady, so everybody, all the haters wanted him to fail. So as soon as he wasn't as good as he should be, they jumped, down his throat. But, he's been fine.
Yeah.
You realize he was in 10 Super Bowls?
It's crazy.
It's 10 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
He won 7. He's lost as many Super Bowls as other guys have been in. He's lost as many Super Bowls. He lost 3 Super Bowls. There's only a few quarterbacks that have won 4. It's insane when you think about it.
I know.
10 Super Bowls. Aaron Rodgers has been in 1.
We've talked about this on previous shows. Think how hard it is to get into 1 Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Think about my poor Jets. I just want them to get to a Super Bowl. It's been
how would you feel just to win 1 Super Bowl?
That'd be it. That'd fulfill.
Right? You would be great for at least 5 years.
I would say 10.
Then after 5 years, you'll start getting annoyed again.
Maybe. But no, I would be good for a while.
Right. You're going to be good. This guy was in 10. 1-7. Half his career he was in Super Bowls.
It's incredible.
only that, he goes to Tampa. There's COVID. You can't practice. You can't do nothing, and he wins the Super Bowl.
It's greatness.
But to that point, I think Tampa was 6-5, and then they got on a run and didn't lose again. So that's why Jets get to 6-5. They got a shot.
Let's talk after Pittsburgh game. But,
We will be talking after the Pittsburgh game next Tuesday.
Yes, Antoine.
Tuesday, 8:00. Like I said at the start of the show, New York Daily News beat writer for the Jets, Antoine Staley, joining us. Friend of the show, friend of mine for a long time. I think I knew him. I think I first met him. I think he was still in college.
Wow.
So I know him a long, long time. Good, very good dude.
I'm really looking forward to having him and seeing his perspective on the Jets. Yeah. He sees it all every day in the he sees it. He's right there.
Yep. I know he's been very busy, he told me. So I know that the travel to London and all that stuff and all the primetime games that they're covering, and then probably all the stuff Daily News wants him to do and produce stuff. So maybe one day he'll be on the mothership and be the Jets reporter for ESPN.
Never know.
Look
at him. And how about Renee Washington, who we had on, how well she's doing? I see her on everything now. Everything. She's
got some kind of like Philly, like after game show or something, or after she does soccer.
She's fantastic.
Sports.
I know she's a big Phillies person, so I don't want to talk to her about that.
Yeah, she's a big LeBron James fan too.
Yeah.
Remember, I told her she had to become a Knicks fan if LeBron came.
Did not happen. That's okay.
I wonder what that. We talk about Aaron Rodgers getting what he wants and all this stuff. I wonder what the conversation was with LeBron, and I'm guessing Jeannie Buss and said, you're going to draft my son. I wonder if that's how it went.
I'm sure it was something very similar to that. Draft my son, or I'm going to the Knicks.
Could be. I'm gonna use my free agency to go somewhere else. I'm gonna go play with Steph Curry up in Golden State.
Yeah. Well, games are in a couple hours, so for our Mets out there, enjoy it.
Big Matt Carl, I know Matt.
Big shout out to Matt. Diehard Met fan.
I think he lives and dies with the Mets more than any other team.
I think so too.
My family is actually at the Met game tonight as I sit here home.
They left you behind.
They left me behind. They're in Citi Field. I hope it starts icing on them. I hope
I'll send that clip over to them.
They have some pretty good seats, and then they have some access to some of the clubs there and all that fun stuff. So they're enjoying themselves out in Citi Field tonight. And then that's about it.
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll be here Tuesday. Recap both ALCS, NLCS. Recap Jets, Giants, NFL. Recap our terrible picks that we put in for that week. And then, of course, Antoine will be on to really give us, the skinny on Rodgers and Salah and Hackett and I think everything that's going on. And, is it going to be a 2-5 conversation or a 3-4 conversation? And I think that's big, right?
Yeah, that is big.
And then how people are feeling in the locker room either way. So going to be a good show next Tuesday. Excited for it. All right, Mike, I know we're running up against the clock here, so any last words, any words of wisdom that you want to put out?
Just we appreciate you listening. It's good. We're back consistently now, so looking forward to having Antoine next week. And just loving New York sports right now. Enjoy it. Enjoy the moment. That's my advice. Enjoy it.
It's been a good October. It's an October that we've been talking about for a few years that we were excited to see, and I think that's where we are right now.
Yes, sir.
All right. See you Tuesday.
See you next week.